Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the 3 best legend combinations that you are going to be wanting to run this season. We are in a super heavy support meta and some people don't really know how to react to that, but don't worry, I've got you covered. But just quickly, if you guys haven't yet, then you have to check out the GameLeap website right now. Over there, we have top level coaches creating the best, most highly informative guides to make you the best player you could possibly be. There are literally hundreds of guides on the site covering everything you need to know. We've got legend guides, gun guides, VOD reviews, mentality guides, positioning guides, aim guides, everything. We've already helped a bunch of players hit new peak ranks. You can be next, so click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, and start to improve today. But okay, let's hop into things, and we are going to be covering one for each different playstyle. There are 3 main playstyles in Apex. You have Edge, Zone, and Hybrid. So let's kick things off with the Edge team comp, and this is a team comp that is built around being the last ones into Zone. You want to sit on the edge of ring, you want to pick off stragglers as they're coming out of their drop spots, you want to take fights on the edge of Zone, and you want to be highly aggressive. So not only does this team have to be good in fights, synergize well, but it also has to be able to reset fights quickly, because as an Edge style team, you are going to be getting third party pretty often. And if you're not able to reset those fights effectively, then you are going to be taken advantage of, and you're probably going to be ending up losing RP. So for this team comp, I'm going to be recommending Gibraltar, Newcastle, and Bangalore. First off, we have the Gibster, and Gibby back in the day was an absolute beast. He was a Goliath. You had to have him on your team because he was just so effective at resetting fights, and now he's back to that point. Going into the season, he did get a nice reduction of the cooldown on his bubble, and the bubble is a fantastic tool in order for you to reset those fights. He has a great res inside of it, he allows your team to not be picked off from a distance by giving you a safe place to play, and he also has a highly effective ultimate that can corral teams, it can cut off line of sight, it can force people out of positions, it can do a multitude of different things. Also, with how fantastic shotguns are this season, especially the Mastiff, Gibby pairs with that perfectly because he is the only legend in the game that has the ability to force a bubble fight. Newcastle kind of has the same situation with his mobile shield, but it is not nearly as effective as the Gibraltar Dome of Protection. Once you throw that bubble out, you control the flow of the fight, and if your enemies do not have a shotgun, you are almost guaranteed to win that if you actually understand how to bubble fight. I say that because some people actually aren't quite sure how to bubble fight, it's still a new thing to them, but once you start to actually pick up with Gibby and actually start to understand bubble fighting, you'll see how effective he can be in those fights. He's highly aggressive, he's highly effective in fights, and he's a great pickup for an edged comp. And pairing alongside him is Newcastle. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, we are in a support heavy meta right now. You kinda have to be running at least one support, and right now it is a good option to have 2 supports so that they can bounce off each other. Supports are incredibly strong right now, and Newcastle is probably the strongest legend in the game with how effective all of his tools are, and they actually buffed Newcastle going into this season, so he was an already strong legend that did receive some buffs. The res that he has is the best res in the game. Putting that shield in front of somebody, dragging them at insane speeds out of fire, it's just non-comparable to the other reses. Plus you have his mobile shield that can no longer be broken, so it's kind of like a mini Gibraltar Dome, which you can move around and position to your needs. You can even do it while you're knocked, so if your teammates are still fighting, you can move your mobile shield around to help them. And his ultimate is so good in so many different situations. It can give you a spot to play if you're coming into zone late because you're an edged comp. It can give you a spot to reset a fight if a team is trying to third party you. It can allow you to get out of fights because if your teammate's trying to get singled out or something like that, you can jump to them, you can jump out to safety, you can be aggressive with it by jumping onto people. There's so many different uses for Newcastle. I'm so glad that people are starting to understand how strong he is, but he's a great offensive legend at the same time, so that's why I'm putting him in the edge comp. And rounding this out, we have Bangalore. Now, Bangalore has been receiving a few nerfs for season after season now, and some people might not think that she's still an effective legend, but trust me guys, she is still good at being an entry fragger, and being an aggressive fragger is a great thing on an edge style of team. But not only that, she also complements the edge style of play extremely well because she has so many different uses for her kit. Her smokes and her ultimate can both be used offensively and defensively. And that is what you're looking for when you're putting together an edge style of team comp. You need to have the offensiveness with the defensiveness so that you have those options. Edge style is all about being aggressive and not having to worry about fights, so this is the team comp that I'm recommending for you. But next up we have the zone team comp, and this is the exact opposite of the edge comp. This is the team that wants to go towards the end game. They want to see where the zone is going to pull. They want to get there before anybody else. They want to wait for the placement points, and then they're going to get all their kills towards the end game. This is all about the consistency because you're trying to get those top 5 streaks going to get the extra points. You don't really care about getting a ton of kills, you just care about the consistent climb. And for this, you need a team comp that is going to be able to identify where the ring is pulling, get there safely and efficiently, and also be able to hold that end game position while people are trying to fight you for it. So for this team, we're going for Newcastle, Watson, and Valkyrie. Now, Newcastle is the exact same reasons that I talked about for Edge. He's just hands down the strongest legend right now, and he's good on every single team comp. I know having the same legend on every single team comp is a little bit boring, but right now the meta is heavily favored around Newcastle. When I make these videos, I try to give you guys options, but this meta is Newcastle's meta. He's good on every single team comp. He's the strongest legend in the game, and he's kind of being forced to play everywhere. But with that being said, he is actually a really good pickup on this team comp because sometimes the zone doesn't pull to where you thought it was going to pull, and you might not have the best position that you were holding. Newcastle is able to slam down his ultimate and give you a spot to play on the fly. Newcastle makes bad situations good with how strong he is in multiple different spots. He also has the ability to essentially rebuild a door because if something gets blown off, he can just slam his ultimate in front of it, essentially giving you a pseudo door that you can't really play out of, but it does block people from coming inside, so it is nice to have. But also making sure that people can't enter your building is going to be Watson. Now, Watson was also a legend that did receive a buff going into Season 23. She did receive a change on her passive perks, which basically gives her the same abilities that these supports do in terms of the res and the healing and everything. Having the buffs that these supports get on a controller legend is very strong because the controller legend gives you the ability to scan the ring console so you can see where the ring is going, but you also have the ability to have 2 supports on your team. You're getting the best of both worlds, and Watson is also highly effective at holding down areas. Her fences are really annoying to try to push through, and if you set them up properly and they can't be shot easily, it makes it so people have to throw themselves out of position in order to actually siege your building. That is highly effective because if people are out of position, then you're able to take advantage of that and stop them before they actually get into somewhere where they can be effective against you. And her generator is still ridiculously strong. It still has the infinite generator capabilities, so if you want to be poking while you are holding a spot in zone, you don't have to be worried about losing all your meds. That's one of the biggest downsides of playing a zone team is sometimes you don't have access to a bunch of resources. So if you were poking before to get your Evo shield up and you were taking some damage in return, you would chew through meds and sometimes not be in the best of positions towards the end game. But with Watson, that is not an issue. Right now, she is the strongest controller legend in my opinion. She's a great option for zone, so that's why I'm putting her here. But rounding out this team comp, we have Valkyrie, and Valkyrie's job on this team comp is very straightforward. She is a school bus. She is transportation from point A to point B because she does it effectively and she does it safely. She is also a recon legend, which can help if you land somewhere that does have the recon beacon. You can scan that, plan out your rotation a little bit better so that you're a little bit safer, and you also do get some more Evo shield from that, which is also a nice bonus. Valkyrie's usefulness as the game goes on does kind of fall off a little bit, but she can still be extremely useful in the early games, and sometimes if the zone doesn't pull to where you think it was going to pull, it can be nice to do like a Hail Mary Valkyrie ult and just land on top of someone and fight for position then. Plus, with her new passive perks being able to see through walls while she is flying, it does give you the option to kind of play around a little bit if you do need to make that Hail Mary play. She's just the most efficient legend at getting your team from your drop spot to the end game position before anyone else gets there and before anyone else is able to set up. Also, being this fast, this efficient, and this safe from getting your team to that end game spot is the only reason Valkyrie's here, and that's why she's a zone team player. But now we can move into our next team comp, which is the hybrid team comp. But just quickly, before we talk about this, I am streaming again over on Twitch TV/8second gaming. So if you guys want to see some of my gameplay live or ask me questions right over there, you can come check me out. I would love to see some new faces. But okay, now we can talk about the hybrid team comp. And what is a hybrid team? Well, it's essentially the best of both worlds. If they happen to be in zone, they're more than happy to just sit and play zone. But if they're on edge, then they're happy to do that as well. They can be aggressive, they can do whatever they want to do. They just kind of go with the flow. And this season, it is kind of hard to put a hybrid team comp together because of the way that the meta is currently, but I am trying my best, and I do think that this is a good team comp for a hybrid playstyle. So for this one, you're going to be taking Pathfinder, Newcastle, and Lifeline. Pathfinder is still the workhorse that he has been for the past couple of seasons. The Energized Zipline is a great tool for relocating your entire team and doing so safely, especially if you're coming as an edge team and trying to find a spot in zone towards the end of the game. But he also can be highly aggressive if your team gets a crack or a knock and you need to push off that. He's great at entering a fight. And he can also slot into the zone team comp because he does have access to either the survey beacon or the ring beacon depending on which perk you do take. So if you want to play zone, just take the ring console, you can scan that, go to zone, be perfectly fine. If you want to play edge and be aggressive, just take the survey beacon and run people down. Being able to flex like that while still being aggressive and a team player is the reason that I do have Pathfinder on the hybrid team comp, and I do think that he will be putting in work for the people that do want to play this style. Now next up we do have Newcastle. Again, I don't like putting the same legend on here multiple times, especially 3 times, but we're still in that Newcastle meta. He's everywhere, play him. But I'm not going to beat a dead horse by talking about him again, so let's just move on into Lifeline. And Lifeline going into the season did get her rework, so it's essentially Lifeline Reborn. And while she doesn't have her care package anymore to get you guys stuff throughout the game, she does have a great way at resetting fights and also allowing your team to have spots to play in kind of hard cases. The Halo is kind of a mini Gibraltar bubble because it doesn't have a roof over it, so people can still nade you out if they're good at throwing grenades, but they cannot shoot through it. So if your team is in a tough position, she can throw that down, give you guys a breath of fresh air, allow you to heal up faster, and give you time to think out your options. Now, Lifeline isn't the strongest at holding zones, so with this hybrid team comp, this is going to be heavily favoring you guys playing edge. But with Newcastle being able to set up positions in zone and kind of hold them with the energized shield, I do have the option here for you to play zone as well. But let me know your favorite team comp in the comments down below, and if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming. I'll see you guys in the next one.